Everyone. My name is Nutran. I'm an academic advisor at UW-Bothell. I had the lovely privilege to be asked to be co-director with Dr. Raisa DeSmith, who unfortunately cannot be here, experienced a medical emergency. So we hope to do her proud in our presentation. So I will start us off. So I will start off with sharing our mission statement, kind of our course purpose and learning objectives that Raisa and I crafted together sometime during the summer, and then we'll lead into the students starting off with their welcome to CPUF statement, where they actually created in their own words what CPUF is, what they want folks to know about CPUF. So I will read off of my course syllabus, and it says, the Southeast Asian Past and Futures program at the University of Washington at Bothell brings together diverse APIA and first-generation college students with diasporic communities to celebrate cultural strength and resilience. With the support of UW faculty, the Burke Museum, staff students will design their own projects and curriculum, work directly with objects in the Southeast Asian collections, build relationships with APIA knowledge holders in the Puget Sound. Each quarter, students will participate in critical conversations, community building activities while exploring the field of museum studies and practicing indigenous research methods. The purpose of CPUF is to center the voices and experience of students with links to Southeast Asia and re-examine the museum and the university as spaces we may claim and transform. So that was our initial thought in creating CPUF. Now I'm going to hand it over to our students. Henry and Sam will be leading the presentation, but you'll be hearing some of our other students jump in and out of the presentation. So take it away, you two.
Yeah, so I'll start off and then Henry will take over a little bit. So yeah, going off of what Nee just kind of explained from the curricular syllabus, we came together as a class and kind of put it into easier understanding words for future cohorts or for other students that are really interested in kind of what we're about. And so what we came up with is Southeast Asia Past and Futures as a cohort of college students with various class standings, cultural backgrounds, and personal experiences. In CPUF, we bring our perspectives as mostly first and second generation students and immigrants when discussing dysphoria-centered work. Something we really care about is showcasing underrepresented voices and giving Black and Indigenous communities a chance to tell their stories. So a big part of CPUF is not only caring about our experiences, but hearing about experiences from others, whether that be in the cohort or others in our community. And then I'll let Henry take over a little bit and talk about what we do here at CPUF. And we have some photos to share. So Henry, I'll let you talk a little bit now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. So our program is a year-long program. So I'm really excited to share a couple of things we have done or achieved throughout the whole school year. The first thing is it was our absolute privilege to connect with the Burke Museum. We were able to went to the storage room to closely look at the object and also at the database. And when we were at the storage room, it was just really, we actually have a lot of critical questions, whether why the objects ending up in the museum at UW, because I know a couple of them, they actually from my hometown, Vietnam. So having those critical questions, it was just really important, also, but at the same time really fascinating to put those questions into research. And the second thing is we were able to study social justice through a museum studies cultures. I remember Dr. Desmet and also Miss Nitran assigned us a couple of readings about museums. However, it's actually have a focus on race, gender, labor. So it was kind of eye-opening for us to kind of have interdisciplinary approach to museum. So yeah.
And then here's a couple of photos of the first visit that we had at the Burke this fall. seeing a lot of the things that they had curated on display. And then here's a couple of us working with some objects that we found in the Burke collection that kind of connected to some of the work that we were doing. And one of the really interesting things too about working with the Burke in hand with them is the fact that a lot of these objects, we find out where they came from or who they were gifted to or who claimed them. And a lot of the times it doesn't relate to the culture of the person that, you know, created it. So that's been really eye-opening and kind of interesting to see it from the colonial context as well. And do you want to talk a little bit about the organizations we work with, Henry, since you're a little bit more connected with them?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
So another thing that we've done is connecting with like local organizations, grassroots organization in Chinatown and also International District in like Seattle. We connected with like APIA, an organization that addresses like gender-based like violence. The Massage Parlor Outreach Project, which is an organization that helps like massage workers in Chinatown, Seattle. And also we did like a neighborhood walking tour with the Burke Museum as well. And these connections actually like help our cohort in terms of having like opportunities and so like helping us kind of like having practical like action from like our classroom, bring what we've learned from our classroom to our community. For example, like speaking of my experience, I ending up like volunteering for API Chaya, and also I am currently a Vietnamese speaking intern for the Massage Parlors Outreach Project. And it was really cool to see like we were able to use that connection to like help like our communities. And the last thing that I have is it just simply like it was a privilege to be around like our community as a cohort of like first generation, also immigrant students. We found like CPUF as like a home where we can always find like support in our like higher education like journey.
Yeah, I like how you frame that, Henry. One of the other really awesome things about CPUF is getting to connect with these local organizations that kind of gives us a sense of agency as well as to how we can not only help others around us, but kind of give that empowerment back to ourselves. And the Wing Luke was a really cool experience as well, because we actually got to walk around the International District and see the areas that people worked in, different art. So yeah, that's been another really cool experience that we've enjoyed here at CPUF. And then here's just a few more photos. There's V Nguyen and V Mai that are two students that we had last quarter kind of looking at a palm leaf hat from Vietnam. And then there's Hari with a really cool puppet from Indonesia, I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, Henry, or Hari. So yeah, there's just some of the pieces that we've been able to work with and have our hands on. And then our current project that we've been kind of working on all year is going to be a published Zine, both physical and digital versions. And it will have an anthology that highlights our lived experience and stories, along with our cultural belongings. So throughout the year, we each kind of picked an object that really relates to us or our family culture and how that's significant. And we've been doing research on to how it was created or where they came from or the significance of them to, you know, the culture that they came from. So that's one of the really exciting projects that we should be finishing up at the end of this quarter.
And right now,
oh, go ahead, Henry.
Oh, sorry. And right now we really want to pass it to like Molly and Hari. They're gonna share a little bit about like their cultural belonging and where they are.
Yeah, so I can start. My object is this mortar and pestle that my mother's family brought with them from Cambodia. They fled during the Khmer Rouge, and they could only bring what they could carry, and they brought this solid stone mortar and pestle. It's not trivial. It's like 10 or 15 pounds. So I've been sort of looking into what it means to my family. It has like a past of violence, right? But it also, I personally have a lot of positive associations with it because my mom cooked food for me with it growing up. So I've been looking for sources to figure out like how it was made, sort of more about the history of the object itself, and also like what other families who fled Cambodia during that time were able to bring with them, and sort of looking into why my family chose this object. Yeah, and I'm looking into connecting with some of my mom's older siblings because she was quite young when they left. I've never talked to them about the wars, so I think this will be an opportunity for us to connect about like our family history and look a little deeper into that.
So for me, my study of interest was lies in the history of the non-European world through the study of imperialism, colonialism, and the forces that have brought about globalization. So for me, it was important to find an artifact that would connect with my journey as a person. So I was born in Indonesia. I was raised in Switzerland within the French culture, and then I got married into the West African culture. And so the object I found that would allow me to connect all those forces at the same time was the batik, the clothes. So I have a few of them here. I have one here. So this one's from Indonesia. And so what was interesting for me is to link the connections between the batik that originated in Java in Indonesia and with my present and my experience right now in Gambia in West Africa. So it's tied to the Dutch colonization and industrialization of the textile back in Indonesia, and since it didn't really work in Indonesia, they moved it to another part of the world where they also had colonies and ended up in the Gulf of Guinea. So I have a few items now so this one is part of a dress that comes from Gambia, and it's made with the process, the wax process. So the material is waxed here, you can see. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Molly and Hari. I really enjoy hearing more about your guys' objects or pieces. So I think up next we're gonna have a reflection and just some kind of quotes about what the class has meant to us as a cohort or individuals. And due for time, if you're not here, I'll give like 4 or 5 seconds for you to kind of speak up and say your quote. And if I don't hear the voice coming, I'll say it, or Henry can say it, or even me.
Before we start, I want to ask the host, like, I know we're at time right now, so like how long do we want us to like wrap up? Yeah.
You have 6 more minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Should we go through with the reflections?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go through with the reflections.
Okay, so up first, we have Tuvi. Tuvi, I don't believe you're here today, are you? Okay, do you want to read hers, Henry?
Yes, of course. So to be shared that like CPUF has really stretched my thinking about how to share culture like ethically through conversation with the museum curators, librarians, and our own cohort. We have not only questioned what it looks like to show our culture to the outside world, but also work on how to learn about cultural belongings in museum and in our homes.
Her owl day is so beautiful. And up next, we have Henry.
So for me, I think like what kind of like stuck to me the most is SIPA for me is like a place for like power and resilience, not like cultural like deficit. Believe it or not, like throughout like my 3 years at college, like SIPA was like the first class, I was able to like speak Vietnamese with my folks and my friends. So here's a photo of me in drum. She's like the first person in the bottle I speak Vietnamese with. So yeah.
And then up next, it's me. So I'm 25% Japanese, but I often pass as white in society. So CPUF has really been a place where I can feel welcomed and comfortable about exploring all sides of my identity. And it has connected me with friends and colleagues like me and Raisa at the UW, which I hope to stay in contact with throughout my life. This has probably been the most impactful course that I've taken here at UW Bothell, so it really holds a special place in my heart. And then those shears right there is the object that I've been doing research on. They're my great-great-grandma's pruning shears from Japan. And then I don't believe Justin is here, so I will read out his quote. But that's Justin at the Burke holding one of the pieces that we were working with earlier. And he said, this class is important because it opened up that relationship for me to be vulnerable with research regarding my culture and other Southeast Asian cultures. It feels like we're sustaining that light that attempted to be snuffed out by those who caused colonization and genocide to our people. It feels like we're carrying our ancestors on our backs, and that were their wildest dreams as we continue to be an echo of what remains of them. Beautiful. Thank you, Justin. And then Molly.
Yeah, I wrote, while our work is intended to reach beyond just us, I always feel like I'm piecing together and healing parts of my own cultural identity. It's a wonderful place to find community, and I've been really grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you, Mom. And then V, I know you joined in today. Do you want to read yours out? If you're not here, I'll read it out for you. I'll give you 1 sec.
I can read it. I'm available. Thank you. So I wrote that CPUF created a space for me to explore my heritage and identity that I was embarrassed about showing and sharing. What I've learned through this cohort has guided me to reflect on how I've represented in the past and how I want to represent myself moving forward.
And then last but not least, we have Juan Moon. Are you in here today, Juan Moon?
Yeah, I'm here. I think I didn't really introduce myself earlier. I just finished my class and I was heading back. I'm Juan Moon and I'm a global studies major. I'm somewhere in between junior and senior. And also I'm a Korean Japanese American. And I am really grateful that I met the CPUF cohort. They're such an amazing people, and because I moved to the US recently back again, so looking back at reflecting on my identity together with everyone was very meaningful, and all the conversation we have looking at the collections at the Burke Museum and listening to the communities that we could connect with was all really so precious for me, and I really learned a lot in the museum learning environment, as everyone said.
Thank you so much, Juan Moon. And do you want to close us out, Nee?
Well,
Yeah.
of course, thank you so much, everyone, for inviting us to be a part of this conference and for sharing space with my students and myself. We were just we felt very fortunate and privileged to share our experience and to and to be part of all of this. And many of the students have class later today, but I and a couple others will be staying on to hopefully engage in the discussion. But once again, thank you for having us.